This interview with Mary Breunig was recorded as part of a group interview on November 10th, 2007.
All right, our first question is, what first excited you about experiential education?
I think for me it was coming at it through a very practical kind of experience rather than through school or through theory, and seeing the potential for a group of campers, in my case, to be transformed through in a wilderness trip experience, and not having had any previous experience myself with the potential for that kind of transformation. It was a really powerful experience. It was like really profound learning happened, and I wanted to know what it was about the wilderness setting that led to that profound learning.
Where was that, Mary?
At Camp Birch Trail in northern Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your greatest single challenge in the field?
I think for me a challenge to the field that is also a personal challenge, so they're sort of happening simultaneously, is this notion of, and it exists both in academia where I am now and in practice where I am now. And it's this notion of taking experiential education theories, because they're multiple, and attempting to apply them in practice. So we profess something about our values and beliefs. We profess something about the values and beliefs of experiential education theory. And then thinking about the ways in which we either engage in meaningful practice or don't. And so the examination of the congruence or lack of congruence between that which we profess and that which we practice, I think is a big challenge for our field.
Can you give us specific?
Just in teaching, like for me in academia right now, I have a very specific example of teaching, although I could just as easily relate it to leading on a wilderness trip. But for me right now with teaching, it's taking an hour and 20-minute time slot and trying to teach about some aspect, let's say, of Dewey's experience in education, with 60 students in the classroom sitting in rows in a lecture hall, and trying to engage them in a meaningful way so they're not just learning about the value of a student-directed classroom, which Dewey's trying to teach about, but are actually experiencing a student-directed classroom and experiencing having an authentic voice. Not just learning about the value of dialogue, but engaging in meaningful dialogue, despite the limitations and constraints that the traditional classroom provides us with. So, but it's an exciting challenge, and as Dewey would say, an educative one, but certainly a challenge.
What's been your most personally rewarding aspect of experiential ed?
For me, it's very similar. It's watching my students at AEE conferences giving workshops on things that they say that go so far above and beyond the little seeds I've planted. To me, that's just phenomenal to witness. And the surprise that I experience when I hear from them, even the students that I taught when I taught high school, when they're saying, oh, I've taken up the issues of social justice that you've introduced to me, and this is what I'm now doing with it. And their thinking and their actions have gone so above and beyond anything that I would have anticipated, not because of them, but because of what they've done with the seeds. And for me, that's just the most phenomenal and phenomenally surprising thing, is these random letters and random emails and random occurrences where they pop up and then they're doing a session somewhere. And I go, wow. Yeah. Good advice, and checking our assumptions.
Yes.
I have that with male students in the classroom. I think, oh, where are they? Because they are definitely not here. Then I get the first paper, and it is articulate, and they've integrated the thinking, and they've integrated the theory, and it's, oh, they are here. They're just differently here than I want them to be, but they are here. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Differently here.
I definitely agree with that growing up piece. I really feel like I am growing up here, and am in that growing up process now, and it's the most wonderful, supportive family to be engaged in that process with. And I think about a very specific instance at this conference where Will Marble came up to me, and he's here with a really young new baby, and he looked quite tired. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and he said, I actually had my pajamas on, and then I took them off because I was so afraid of missing something that I had to come back out and just take a pulse and see what was going on. And then we sort of talked about what he saw, and he said, I would have missed Katrina's graphic artwork that she was doing while people were dancing, and I would have missed Marilyn Levin showing up all the youngsters with the cartwheel race. And he had a whole list of things, and it was just so touching. And he said, but now I do need to go to sleep. But it was just a really touching moment, because I think that's how I feel throughout the conference. He and I said, both agreed, we live in fear of missing something because the moments with each other are so short, and yet each moment is so significant and so profound, that we want to be as wholly present as we can be when we come here each November. And it's such a gift to be able to do that, to be able to come together and be wholly present together and honest, completely honest, completely ourselves.
Mm-hmm.